Cody be watching. Oh yeah.
How's it going? Welcome to Cody Be Watchin. I am Cody, and I like chicken tendies apparently. Today we're going to be featuring a music video by the artist known as Hatchie, or a band, depending on how you look at it, which I'll get into. Hatchie is an artist that you could classify as dream pop with some shoegaze elements. I know a lot of people refer to her music as sounding a bit like the Sundays, or I hear Cocktail Twins a lot. I see that a lot online. Um, it's a very ethereal pop, dream pop sound, and I was captured by her music about 7, 8ish years ago. When the Sugar and Spice EP came out, you had a lot of good cuts on that album, like the title track, Sleep. I really liked. Try is the first song that I heard from her and company. And it just, I don't know what it was. I don't listen to a ton of dream pop. Artists like Beach House have found a lot more success, mainstream success in that wheelhouse. But something about Hatchie and her band really drew me in. Not sure what it was exactly, just the aesthetics, the attention to not only the production and honoring that sound that she's going for, but also the hooks and the melodies, the way it all comes together. I can't think of a single Hatchie song that I actively dislike. I love her albums. She's released um, two albums since then, her debut full length Keepsake, followed by Giving the World Away. And I liked each subsequent record more than the last, to be honest. And she hasn't written a bad song, as far as I'm concerned. Some stand out more than others, but they're all great. I've said this before, I think on Reddit or somewhere. All of her songs sound like they could compile a greatest hits for the most part. So yeah, she just nails that sound, and then some very catchy melodies, memorable choruses. That's a big part for me. I love a good sugary chorus, and Hatchie has it in spades. So without further ado, let's get into this new song. I'm going to be watching the official video for Lose It Again, the debut single off her upcoming record. Goodness, what's it called? What is that called? Licorice, spelled Liquorice. I don't think that's how you spell licorice. I think it's like a linguistic pun, uh, maybe to do with alcohol. No, somebody comment if I'm just way off on that. That could be me. Maybe that's my inner alky talking. I'm just seeing things, but I'm really excited for it. It's her third full length, and I'll talk more a little bit about Hatchie at the end. But I'm very excited for this. Admittedly, I've heard some snippets. I've heard some things on her Instagram and whatnot, various parts. But this is the first time I've had to really sit down and listen critically. Excuse me. Sit down and listen critically to the track. And I'm very excited. That's all I can say. So let's just give this a shot. This is Lose It Again by Hatchie, official video. She always has great music videos.
All the time we thought was wasted. All the while we had it all wrong.
Cow.
Fading on and
I spotted a cow.
endlessly, ripples always carried me to shore. If there's a lesson, then it's lost on me. Convoluted poetry, it goes on and on.
Layered vocals.
Is there a question that I'm meant to see? The pages get so hard to read. They go on and on, on and on. 'Cause you are this time I'm chasing.
Yep, yep.
So far apart. I'm here waiting. I wanna lose it again.
All right, taking a quick pause here at the minute and 25, 27-second mark, um, just to give a few initial thoughts. So, my initial thoughts on this are good. I like it a lot. It's Hatchy through and through. I mean, if I was driving along and heard this on the radio first without knowing who it was, I would know Hatchie's one of my top listened to artists of the last half a decade at least. Um, but I will say it's lacking so far. I mean, it could take a crazy twist. Um, but so far it's lacking the ambition that the initial singles off her last record had. Um, I for one loved the shoot for the stars attitude for that record. I mean, you had songs like Quicksand and Lights On that sounded like they were made to be crossover pop hits. Like if the public was at a point where people the general public was more willing to accept some shoegazier atmospherics soundscapes in their like top 40, those two songs that I just mentioned, especially Quicksand, would have been major hits. Um, that was just, it was an artistic evolution that made all the sense in the world, and it was scratching me where I itched. There are other cuts off that album, like "Don't Leave Me in the Rain," the title track, the rhythm that were pushing the boundaries of her sound, but not necessarily like that over the top pop stuff. I likened "Lights On" to a Kylie Minogue song. It just felt so classic, but also forward thinking. It felt like truly modern pop that should be getting radio play, and it. And here I'm not. I don't want to say I'm hearing regression, but it sounds like a return to the sound that she initially had on her album Keepsake, or maybe even the EP Sugar and Spice that I mentioned earlier. It's not a regression. I don't want to use that word. It's just maybe that last record didn't have the success that they thought it would with those new genre bending sounds that they were creating with the aforementioned songs that Lights On and Quicksand, for instance. Um, that's the only thing I can think of, and unless it's just like, well, let's do what we know best. Let's not worry about pushing ourselves to create something new. Let's just do something natural. I don't know. I wasn't in the studio with these cats, so I couldn't tell you how it went down. But that's just my initial vibe, is that it's not pushing her sound forward. Rather, it's relying a little on the past, if that makes sense, but not in a bad way. But let's see if there's any surprises here.
All the nights we stayed up stealing, all the hours tomorrow had to give.
I love her mannerisms in her music videos. She really knows how to play to the camera.
All I ever wanted was a chance to give you everything, but everything could never be enough. If there's a lesson, then it's lost on me. Convoluted poetry goes on and on, on and
Sorry.
on. Is there a question that I'm meant to see? Pages get so hard to read, they go on and on and on and on and on and on and on. 'Cause you are this star I'm chasing. So far, far apart, I'm here waiting, and I wanna lose it 'cause you are this star I'm chasing.
I could play to the camera too,
So far, far apart, I'm here waiting, and I wanna lose it again, 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 all again and again, 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 again.
All right, that was "Lose It Again" by Hatchie. Overall thoughts, really good. It again, I do think after hearing the rest of the song, my original statement, I'm gonna stick by that. I think she should have maybe kept pushing in that direction. But again, an artist is gonna work the way they want to work and go by what moves them in the moment. And I don't fault anybody for sticking to what they know and producing something a little bit familiar. Um, and who's to say? I believe it's a 10-track album. Is Licorice? This is just one song. Uh, there might be myriad surprises in store. I have no idea. I'm seeing there on my screen a suggestion for a song "Rooftops" that was a B-side on the deluxe edition of "Giving the World Away." I think perfect example. That song was something I wouldn't have really expected out of Hatchie. Just there was like some world music elements on her last album. Really cool stuff. And I love the sugary sweet nods to the Sundays and the jangle pop. Jangle pop is a big term I've used to describe Hatchie's music. It's jangle pop, dream pop, and sugary sweet. It's happy music. It's gonna make you feel like you're falling in love. Is Hatchie's music. But I would give that 7.5 out of 10. It doesn't have my jaw on the floor the way Quicksand and Lights On did. I remember, those are songs where I vividly remember where I was when I first heard them because I was so blown away, not just by the songs, but by the music video. That was a cute music video, and this is a watch along channel, so I'm going to comment on the visuals. The music videos that she's produced, even in the past, have been more inspired and a lot more fun, and it's just really something you can sink your teeth into. Really striking visuals. This was nice. I hope they got a permit to film on that farm, otherwise they're in big, big trouble. But, again, if the visual kind of rings true to what I'm saying as well as far as the song goes, it's just really good, but not maybe not that wow factor that I got accustomed to with Hatchie. Hatchie and her band, Harriet Pilbeam is her real name, and what Hatchie really is to me, the way I view it is it's a co-production because her partner Joe Agui. I really don't know how to pronounce his last name. So sorry if anybody from the Hatchet camp is watching this. Hell of a nice guy though. I actually met Harriet and Joe, who are together. I believe they're married. I met them at a show that they performed, and they were very humble, sweet, down to earth people who would have listened to me blab on for 30 more minutes, I'm sure. It just not to be rude. They were very polite people. Hatchie was working her own merch. So I bought a shirt from her, and I was just thinking the whole time, man, uh, not like I didn't want to say this, but I kind of did. I want to be like, you should be bigger than this. You shouldn't be working your own merch table. Like your songs are, stadium sized dream pop. It's dream pop for stadiums. You should be playing maybe not stadiums, but something bigger than what you are, where you're at. And maybe that's an echo. This direction that they're going in, or the safe direction, is an echo of that sentiment. Maybe they're just playing it safe and going back to old faithful and just keeping it comfortable. But Harriet and Joe, her husband, are a great production duo. I think they co-produce pretty much every Hatchie release, and his production is very instantly recognizable. What he does with percussion, the wall of sound, just the vocal layering, and you can also hear it in his side project. I believe it's a solo thing called Rents, all capital letters. Rents is pretty good. He's got some good songs where he's a vocalist on that, but his touch is all over Hatchie recordings and as well as his solo stuff. And you got to give it up for good production. That's something that I'm kind of particular about. I don't want to hear a song that sounds like it was recorded inside of a potato. I just don't. And luckily, Hatchie comes through every time with good sounding songs. I'm not really picking up on a great hook yet from this. I'm sure it's there, but I'm not going to be like hearing this floating around in my head, I don't think. Maybe. It'll take another listen. All right. So that does it. If you have ever heard a Hatchie song and you have a favorite, let me know in the comments. If you've never heard of her, but you found this video, stumbled upon it, and now you're intrigued by her music, let me know. I'm glad to be of service to you. And yeah, I'm excited for this Licorice album that's coming out, and I hope she announces some tour dates soon in my city. This has been another installment of Cody be watching. I'm Cody, and thank you for watching. See you next time.